Scarlett's Secret is a pretty interesting story from Casey Watson. Now, it's not actually a foster carer memoir. This takes place before she became a foster carer. And I actually find that really interesting. It's always fascinating to learn about the backgrounds of foster carers. That's not to say you need to have a background working with children and vulnerable young adults to become a foster carer, but I do find that aspect of it just really fascinating from a personal interest perspective. And in this story, this very short story, about a 20-minute read. So it's not the most in depth, but actually it works well for the length of time that we have with the characters. And I say characters because, of course, these are going to be loosely based on individuals. I think it's fair to say that some parts of their identity will have been changed to protect them, which I'm completely fine with. It's never something I have a problem with. And the characters we meet are fraternal twins Scarlett and Jade. And Casey is working with this program for young adults who are not in education, employment, or training, or NEETs as they're sometimes called. And the only thing that annoyed me about this is that she kept referring to them as kids. They're not kids. They're young adults who could, in theory, be in employment. So I kind of feel like it was a little bit disrespectful to call them kids. I don't mind it when you're calling people who are younger than you kids loosely, but when it's in a professionally published work, I feel like a little bit more respect could have been had. But that aside, it wasn't too bad. The big problem is that one of these girls smells terrible. And obviously, some of the other young adults there are not very kind about it. And it turns out that there is a reason for it. And I won't say why or what led to this situation, but it is really fascinating and kind of looks at how one might respond to a situation to protect themselves. And I can't say more than that because it is only a 20-minute read. I really don't want to give away too much. But if you like reading about how a person's behavior might be a product of a traumatic past, this one will appeal to you. And I feel like Scarlett and Jade were both likable characters with very believable emotional responses. They both have very opposite ways of dealing with a situation they both went through. And I feel like that as well is also something that's really interesting. The book could also be very helpful for anybody who's been through something either similar. It can help to show that there is support out there and that actually getting support can be really beneficial. So it may be a very short, quick read, but actually I feel like it can provide a lot of benefit, a lot of information, and a lot of insight. And it's generally well written, some grammatical issues here and there, but nothing too severe or nothing that made it difficult to read. If you're a fan of Casey Watson or foster care memoirs in general, then I think this is one that is worth reading. I read it on Kindle Unlimited, so I didn't technically pay for it. It's currently 99 pence on Amazon, 99 pence for a 20-minute read. I'd say it's worth it. It's interesting enough that had I paid for it rather than read it on Kindle Unlimited, I wouldn't have minded. I would have liked it to have been a little bit longer, maybe learning about what happened after the fact, but I think they might have had to have fabricated that because obviously if Casey knew what happened after the fact, we would have learned in the book. So I'm kind of okay with the way it went. Not too bad. If it sounds like your kind of thing, I'd say it's worth reading.